I've always wanted to have on as a guest, but whatever reason, things, maybe it wasn't, the timing wasn't right, but yesterday, when it was announced that ETSU would be playing at Kansas at November 19th of this year, it was actually Dr. Janice Shelton recommended to me yesterday morning, why don't you call up John Shulman and talk about the last time that those two teams played, because it is, I think, one of the more historic games in ETSU history. I was talking about in the first hour, I absolutely hate bragging on losses. I really hate that, so many ETSU fans take this source of pride that, lost to Oklahoma in the NCAA tournament. However, the last time ETSU played Kansas in 1992, John Shulman was one of Alan LaForce's assistants. ETSU had just been to 4 straight NCAA basketball tournaments. They fell behind in Lawrence 22-0, led late in the game, fell 86-83. I thought, hey, why not look back at one of the more historic games in ETSU history? And so with me now is John Shulman. And I know we were explaining or talking on email, and you said, yeah, I remember that game very well. Where to start? How does a team that had been to 4 straight NCAA tournaments all of a sudden fall down to anybody 22-0?
All right. Number one, some of those guys who had played in those 4 NCAA tournaments were not. They didn't make the trip to Lawrence, Kansas.
Sure.
Remember, we had no Mr. Jennings, we had no Rodney Inglis, no Calvin Talford, no Greg Dennis, no Alvin West, no Major Gear, they were all gone.
Yeah.
We went out there with really a inexperienced team. We really started tiny guards. Niblett, Palmer. Pelfrey was at the 3. Darrell Jones, Giselle Silvers, and Tony Patterson. So we go out there. We had about a week to prepare. It was right during exams. We were ready. We put in all the Carolina stuff that Kansas did, because Roy Williams was at Kansas at that time. And we were ready to roll. And if we don't first TV timeout, we're down like 10-0.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, Kansas, they had a tradition. The fans stood up until the other team scored. So it was like we were down. We were getting shut out the first time out, media timeout. Everybody's still standing up. But we're okay. It's no big deal. That stuff happens. But we get down to about the 11:45 mark, and we're down 22-0 at the next timeout. And those people are still standing. Those people are exhausted. Those fans were exhausted. And I remember Coach Ford saying, listen, guys, I've coached for a long time. I've never been shut out, so don't worry about that. We'll get through it. So the kids kind of broke the ice a little bit. They were kind of giggling. And I remember Niblett making a 3 from the right wing, and they started clapping. The fans started clapping for us. Like we were a bunch of punks out there.
Sure.
And it really made our kids upset. And because we had a lot of pride now. And we're down 22-0. Niblett makes a 3. We battle kind of back a little bit, but you're still on the road playing a big money game at Kansas. They're ranked number 2 in the country. Rex Walters, Adonis Jordan, and we're down 19.5. I'll never forget. We're down 19.5. We go in the locker room. It's a pink locker room. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So they trying to play mind games with you. And Coach says, listen, let's just cut it to 15 with 15 to play. Cut it to 10 with 10 to play. Or cut it to 5 with 5 to play. Let's give ourselves a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't cut it to 15 with 15 to play and cut it to 10 with 10 to play, but the only problem is with about 4 minutes to go, we go up 2. I'll never forget it. We go up 2, and it went from them laughing at us to have you ever heard silence before?
I watched that game on TV, so maybe I have, but there were the broadcasters talking through my speaker, I guess. But yes, go ahead, John Shulman.
You could hear silence in there. And if you've ever heard silence from about 20,000 people, and that place is probably it's probably top 3 most special places in the country to play. You could hear silence. And we're up 2, but I ain't gonna lie to you, guys at East Tennessee State at that moment, I mean, they thought we were supposed to go beat Kansas at Kansas. And so we get a couple tough breaks on a call or two late, which is going to happen on the road. But I'll never forget, we're down 2 with the ball, and I'll never forget, they were playing kind of a little 1-3-1, and Andy Pennington was a freshman and was dribbling that ball down the floor, and I was like, oh, my God, we got a chance to beat Kansas, and we got a freshman out there. And we were going to shoot a 3. Palmer was just unbelievable, and Niblett was unbelievable, and they got fouled on the drive. We go to the foul line, make 1 of 2, got a foul, enough time, maybe about 6 seconds, enough time, and we fouled Jordan. He makes 2, and Pelfrey hits it off the rim to end the game. We get beat by 3. And Roy Williams apologized to Alan LaForce because he felt bad because they won the game. And we deserved to win that game. We played our guts out and ended up, I think, winning 19 or 20 that year without all those pros. But that was I'm just, back in those days, there weren't a ton of ESPN games.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they broke to our game at the end and put it on ESPN or put it on ESPN2. That's how special that game was at that moment. Now, University High and Unaka's on ESPN, but before, there were no games on ESPN. So we got on there. We was talk of the country. But like what you kind of talked about, Marky, to stay the talk of the country, you got to win that game.
Yeah.
And we didn't win it, so people got a chance to talk about it for a little bit. Then it was all forgotten until I heard from you yesterday.
Yeah, well, when the game was announced, the other thing I remember about that was that Kansas was supposed to come to Johnson City. And that was actually one of the reasons why I called up Janice Shelton, because she was the athletic director at the time. And I said, I don't remember the exact circumstances. I mean, I could look it up in the Johnson City Press, but as I recall, Kansas bought their way out of the game after that, and they did not make the return trip to Johnson City. And I've got cocky enough to know that, I know the athletic director at Kansas, Jeff Long, from the days when I covered Pitt, and he was at Pitt. But nevertheless, what I'm coming to is, do you remember how Kansas was able to get out of the return game to Johnson City?
I don't know if it was maybe in the contract. I remember, I think it may have a while ago, like Lebo may have been involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jeff was the one that probably got us hooked into the game with Coach Williams. I remember at Tennessee Tech, we played at Carolina when Lebo was at Tech and I was with Jeff there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Jeff left Tennessee Tech, Carolina did not return that game to Tennessee Tech. So there's a lot of stuff that goes in the contracts. Now the big thing is if these guys are leaving mid-major programs for the big boys, in that contract, the big boy has to visit that mid-major program that he just left to play a home game at their place. So there's all kinds of stuff in those contracts. You would, especially you, Mark, you would
Mm-hmm.
love that stuff. Because there's some things in there that makes it fun and makes it interesting.
I'm not a lawyer, okay? I mean, I have enough time doing my taxes here, and so just take the standard write-off. What the hell, that's... But no, we're talking to John Shulman, who is now the head basketball coach at Alabama-Huntsville. And, of course, many will know that in addition to being an assistant, first at UH, then at ETSU, as well as Wofford, you mentioned Tennessee Tech and such, but was the head coach at Chattanooga, where he coached Omar Watad and led the Mocs to the NCAA tournament. Now he's at Alabama-Huntsville. And I guess I should ask you, I mean, are you going to have any players on your team coming up that play both hockey and basketball?
How about that? Division I hockey in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yes.
So I hopefully we got a couple guys that are tough enough to play hockey, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm looking forward to going. I've met the hockey coaches a couple times. They're good guys. They travel all over the country to play league games, playing Division I hockey. I wouldn't mind having some of their budget. How about that for our basketball program?
Yeah, I know that it's to the travel. It's got to be a lot. But yes, go ahead, John Shulman.
Well, listen. To be a head college coach again, I'm very appreciative, very excited, very grateful. I'm very appreciative that I have a young lady from Irwin making that trek with me because she's been such a supportive wife, and maybe her background being a basketball player helps her deal with the basketball coach. But so we're excited. We're moving our family from Chattanooga to Huntsville, and it is. I'm fortunate enough to coach my oldest son again. Max will be a redshirt sophomore here at UAH, and maybe Steve Forrest will pay us some money to come up and play an exhibition game in Freedom Hall, so we can have an opportunity to go back home. Marky, get that done for me, will you please?
I was thinking about if that's something that you were interested in doing and all that, what with your ties to ETSU, as well as the fact that, scheduling, sometimes you have to have the home games. I know that ETSU, they're going to go, obviously, to Kansas. So is UNCG, by the way. But Appalachian State, that's going to come back. It's going to be a home-and-home rivalry. But to tell you the truth, there's always that money game, that D2 game. And, a John Shulman returning. There's Lees McRae, there was Mr. Jennings returning a few years ago. Before that, Murray Bartow, I thought, was always very good at scheduling, say, the Tusculums, the Milligans, for some local interest. And I've been sort of sad to see that go away and all this. But, a lot of times you see some of these teams that come in and you're like, who are they and all that? And, I can remember when Ed DeChillis was here and he scheduled Juniata, and I think it was because the athletic director, the head coach at Juniata, was the nephew of the Penn State athletic director, and he wanted the Penn State job. Hey, John Shulman, can you hang on? I got a commercial break here real quick.
Absolutely.
Let's do this. John Shulman on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio.